Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about the Apple Studio Display, a very controversial display that was aimed mainly at professionals and content creators like myself and perhaps some of you guys watching. In 2024, is the Studio Display still worth it? And if so, why? And who is it for? Who would benefit the most from owning an Apple Studio Display? These are the questions I'm looking to answer in today's video, so let's dive right in. And if you guys are new to the channel, please consider subscribing and be sure to leave a like. Helps the channel grow. So what is the Apple Studio Display? I'm not going to dive too much into the tech specs because you can probably find that in a different video that really does a deeper dive if you want to, but all you have to know is it's a 27-inch 5K display from Apple using an IPS panel with 600 nits of brightness capped at 60 Hz, so 60 frames per second. It cannot hit higher than that. The Studio Display was created to be a color-accurate display for professionals and to work with macOS because it has a chip inside of it that can use Siri and other cool features. It also has a built-in webcam and speakers, and it also starts at $1599, about $1,600. So with the specs out of the way, what's the actual use case? So it's for professionals, but why would a professional want this over something else? Well, I have one, and it's right to my right shoulder there in the background. I've had one for about a year, so I think I can give you guys a pretty cool insight into what it's like to use for video production, which is what I do it for. What's really nice about it is its simplicity. So because it's supposed to use macOS devices, it's really easy to just use. You simply just plug in the Thunderbolt cable into your laptop or your Mac Studio, your Mac Mini, whatever, and it's just good to go. You can keep your laptop closed or you can use it as a second display. What this does at the same time is it also powers the laptop, so you are able to keep it charged, but it's not going to do it in a way that will damage the battery. It will remain plugged in and it will siphon the power out of the outlet instead of using the battery. So you're not going to get like any classic battery damage like you might when leaving something plugged in for too long, like a phone, for example. So don't worry, Apple thought about that. So I use it for my video production stuff, video editing with DaVinci Resolve, editing photos with Lightroom, stuff like that. And with that said, let's actually talk about the pros and the cons of the Apple Studio Display. What do I like about it? What do I not like about it? Let's start off with some of the things I do like. So the first point here is the resolution. 5K looks really good. And when you put it side by side with a 4K monitor, there is a pretty big difference in detail. Looking at things across the screen, they look really sharp and detailed, and the colors look really great as well. You really have a hard time seeing any pixels. It's just clean. It looks really good. So when I shoot in OpenGate 6K, or if I have something in 8K blown out, you can really see the detail because it's a 5K screen. I also like the brightness of it. So 600 nits might not seem like a lot, but I rarely find myself blasting this thing. I also work in darker environments, but even if you are somebody who works in a brighter environment, they do have coatings on it that will allow you to get like a matte finish, which is a little more anti-glare. So there are options for you as well. But yeah, I think the brightness is awesome. I also really appreciate the simplicity of it. Like I said earlier, you just take the Thunderbolt cable, which is included by the way, plug it into the laptop, and you're good to go. The audio, the webcam, the second screen, it recognizes it. And then you can use a keyboard to adjust the brightness of it. You don't have to fiddle with a button under the monitor like an LG, for example. And this is no shade at all to LG. I think they're a great company, but with LG monitors, you have that little knob usually. Some of them have remotes, but those are like the higher end ones. So being able to do that really quickly from the keyboard is awesome. Probably one of the more important features about it that I really like, that I think I can't stress enough how crucial this is. Color accurate mode. So you can calibrate monitors, but on the Studio Display, you can actually make preset profiles with macOS, just like you can on a laptop. So when I'm color grading, I can switch to my color grading profile, which is a neutral locked brightness. There's no true tone, so the white balance is going to stay the same. And I know that that is going to be consistent across the board. Now, doing that and color calibrating with a professional device will always give the best results, but with the client work that I do, I've never found myself in a situation where something looked really bad because I didn't use a professional piece of monitor calibration equipment. So using the presets that I'm talking about works really well for me, and I'm sure it will for you too. And the last thing I really like about it is the ports. It has a lot of USB-C ports, 4 specifically. One is a dedicated Thunderbolt port, which is supposed to be used to actually connect the device to the laptop or desktop, and the other 3 can be used for charging or peripherals. So I'm able to have external SSDs plugged in, SD cards, things to charge stuff. This microphone's connected to it. So yeah, plenty of ports, plus using your laptop, plus if you use a port extender. Don't know if you're able to see this. I'll try to punch in, but focus. Did it focus? It's on autofocus, so okay, well, I have a little hub there that will allow me to connect stuff. So yeah, plenty of ports. But let's talk about the cons. So right off the bat, even though it's a great display, and the colors are great, and they're accurate, and everything's sharp and vivid, it is 2024, and display technology has come a long way in these past few years. The Studio Display came out March 18th, 2022, so we are past the 2-year mark for this device. Even though it's a great-looking display, don't get me wrong, you know, it's not OLED, it's not Mini LED, it's not ProMotion, so you're getting an LCD panel that's 60 Hz. There are pros and cons to all display types. I love OLED. I think it's like the best type of display you can buy, but for production, like video production and a lot of video editing, I don't really want OLED. Like the inky blacks are great and the vivid colors, but the auto dimming stuff and worrying about burn-in, it's not something I'd like. If this was a mini LED panel with ProMotion, now that would be an awesome, awesome display because you're gonna get fast refresh rates, great brightness, low deep blacks, so your contrast will look good, the colors will be great, but there's also blooming with that, and if the display is not of the best quality, the blooming becomes really like noticeable, and it can be a little irritating to look at, especially when you're color grading stuff at night or maybe a photo of a nighttime sky. So that is worth keeping in mind, is that it is an LCD panel, but depending on your use case or the type of displays you're used to, that may or may not be a problem. The other thing I don't really like about it is the price. $1,600 is high, and to be fair, you can find them really cheap open box, like not really cheap, but discounted steeply if you look on Marketplace or eBay, stuff like that, Best Buy open box. And mine is the height adjustable one as well, which is just another couple $100, so the price is pretty steep. There still really isn't anything like it though. Like Dell has a 6K monitor that's 32 inches that is like thousands of dollars as well, and Samsung has a display, I believe, but it doesn't match the same specs of the 5K display. You know, it doesn't have the great same build quality or built-in speakers, so pros and cons to everything, but in this price range, it's just, you're kind of paying for, I guess, the simplicity of it and the quality of it too. And the last con that comes to mind is the ports itself. So although they're great and there's a lot of them, I can't charge my phone, for example, with a MagSafe charger. You know, that's about 15 watts of power and just won't work. So it doesn't have a lot of power coming out of it. Also, well, don't get me wrong. If you're using it for like external SSDs, it'll do the job, but that is just something to keep in mind, is you might want to check on the Apple page the actual tech specs of the speed of each port to make sure that depending on your workflow, you're able to get the right speeds or charging speeds, whatever it is that you might need. So keep that in mind as well. So those are my thoughts on the Studio Display's pros and cons. The competition out there, you have monitors like the Alienware QD OLED Ultra Wide, which is a little more of a gaming monitor, but could be used as productivity if you wanted it to. Again, OLED has its drawbacks and its benefits, so it's something that you'll have to look into. I guess overall, my final thoughts, I'm happy with it. I really am. I work on a MacBook Pro, but overall, I guess my thoughts would be more positive than negative. I've had it for about a year, a little over a year, and I just love using it. It's simple. It works really well, the display is great, and it's never like glitched out or failed me in terms of just working on it. I also like that Siri's built in, speakers and webcams are built in as well, so it just makes it easier to just quickly start editing and have some really good quality speakers while you edit. I think headphones will always be optimal, but these speakers do a really good job as well. You just want to make sure that when you're editing, you always keep it at the same volume so that it's consistent throughout the video. Yeah, I would say for content creators like myself, I would actually go ahead and recommend this. I wouldn't pay the full $1,600 for it because it's been 2 years, and like I said, the display technologies have advanced a lot, so I don't think I would pay full price for it. I wouldn't pay $1,600. I'd wait for like an open box deal or some sort of a sale. But if you're using a Mac or you plan on using a Mac for any sort of like productivity, video editing, especially things like photography, videos, like that stuff where you need to be really color accurate, I would highly recommend this. You're just going to love it, and it's going to last you a long time. The build quality is also really, really good. It has a nice weight to it, so depending on your table, it won't shake or anything. And yeah, it's just quality. It's just a quality product from Apple. It works with Mac OS like flawlessly. Yeah, I would say in 2024, I would recommend the Studio Display, and just keep an eye out for some sort of like a sale or a discount. But anyways, any of you guys might be using Final Cut, DaVinci, Premiere, or Photoshop, whatever it may be. If you're some sort of a content creator, check out the Studio Display, maybe check out some other reviews, and I think it's just going to be a really nice part of your workflow if you're editing on Mac OS. Thanks for watching, guys. I hope this video was helpful, and if it was, again, please leave a like and consider subscribing. And let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. So until next time, guys, stay creative.